Good evening, my dear children of class 9. Today we shall be moving ahead with where we had left in the last video. We have completed half of the Act 1, Scene 3, where we discussed uh, the discussion that took place between Bassanio and Shylock with regard to the loan that Bassanio wanted to take from Shylock, since he did not get any loan from any other merchant, since they did not have any ready money at hand. So the only person that he could approach was Shylock, and there in this scene, Act 1, Scene 3, first part of the scene, we saw the discussion and the kind of precautionary measures that we see Shylock trying to take, while in reality we also know that he had some ulterior motive behind what he was trying to present in himself as in front of Bassanio. So then later, when Antonio comes forward as the discussion was going on, Antonio, he enters in the middle of their discussion, and there we see the kind of hatred that Shylock carries for Antonio in his soliloquy. And further, we also see when discussion unfolds between Antonio and Shylock, we also see that Shylock, he tries to justify his alleged interest, the earnings that he used to earn by loaning money and charging high rate of interest. He tries to justify this very mode of earning his livelihood by making a biblical reference to Jacob and his uncle Laban. All right, and then the discussion eventually unfolds in an argument where Antonio does not agree with what Shylock is trying to justify, and then Antonio warns Bassanio of the deceptive nature of such kind of people, who is no different from a devil who tries to, in order to fulfill his purpose. He even makes a biblical reference. Similarly, like that very devil, Antonio, by comparing the devil to Shylock, he says that such kind of person cannot be trusted, since they look goodly on the outside but are rotten on the inside. They have bad intention on the inside. So that is where we left with in the last class. So now let us move ahead. So then what happens is, Antonio, well, Shylock, shall we be beholding to you? Beholding means out here obliged. So he's referring to the loan. Shall we be obliged? Shall we be receiving the loan from you? We need the answer. That is what Antonio demands. And Shylock says, Signor Antonio, many a times and oft means often, many a times and often, many a times and often, in reality you have rated me. You have rated here means abused me. So about my monies and my usances. Usances means money lending practices. So now Shylock makes a reference to the past humiliation, which is, we have come to a very important part of Shylock's speech, where he makes mention of the kind of relationship where we get an idea of the relationship that exists between Shylock and Antonio. So he refers to the past, to his bad past, where he was humiliated, where Shylock was humiliated by Antonio at Rialto in front of all the other merchants, and he was humiliated for his usances, for his money and his usances, his very practice of money lending business and charging high rate of interest. He was humiliated by Antonio for that. Still, in spite of being humiliated, still have I borne it with a patient shrug. And even though you humiliated me, I still bore it with a patient shrug. I endured it patiently. For sufferance here means endurance. For sufferance is the badge. Badge here means characteristics of all our tribe, because sufferance is, for sufferance out here means endurance. For endurance is the badge, one of the main strong characteristics of our people. So, of all our tribe, it is the Jewish tribe. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog. Cutthroat dog means unethical and ruthless people, right? You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spit upon my Jewish gabardine, Jewish cloak. So this is how he was humiliated. He was not only humiliated for the money that he lent to people by charging high rate of interest, but at the same time he was humiliated by being called a misbeliever, by being called a cutthroat dog by Antonio in front of everybody. He was humiliated, and not just that, Antonio even went to the extent of spitting on his Jewish gabardine. So he was treated in a very inhuman manner in front of everybody and humiliated, and all for use of that which is mine own. And you humiliated me in this manner for making use of my own money and nothing else. So, well then, all right then, it now appears you need my help, and now, all right then, and now after all those humiliation, it now seems that you need help from me, from that very person whom you had humiliated in the past, whom you had been humiliating in the past. Go to then, you come to me and you say, Shiloh, we would have monies. So now it seems that you are in need of money. And all right, then you come to me and you tell me, and now since you have already come and you are coming here in front of me and you are asking me, see, Shiloh, we would have monies. You say so. You that did void here means throw. Your ruum means spit. Ruum here is spit upon my beard, and foot, kick. Foot here means kick me as you spurn. Spurn means kick a stranger. Cur means a stray dog. So not only that, not only was he spat on his Jewish gabardine by Antonio, but it also appears that this man now who wants money from that very person whom he had humiliated, or he wants money from that very person who was spat at, who was spat at and who was kicked in front of everybody as if he was some stray dog standing right at the threshold at the doorstep of his house. So he was treated in a very inhuman manner. Then overly our threshold, money is your suit, and now you request money. Money is your suit means, and now it seems that you need money. You are requesting money from me. So he is being very sarcastic out here, and Shylock, he is being very, very sarcastic, that we must remember. So what should I say to you? And now since you have come forward to ask money to me, what should I say? Hath a dog money? Since you treated me like a dog, and now that you need money, should I in reply tell you, that does a dog have money? So is it possible a cur can lend 3,000 ducats? And is it possible that a dog can lend a person, a human, 3,000 ducats? So here he is being extremely very sarcastic towards Antonio. Then should I not alright, a cur can lend, is it possible a cur can lend 3,000 ducats? Or shall I bend low and in a born man's key? Born man's key means in a very slavish manner, with bated breath means lowered breath, in a very slavish manner. Whispering humbleness, whispering humble means in a humble whisper, say this, fair sir, you spit on me on Wednesday last, you spurned me on such a day another time, you called me dog, and for all these courtesies here means politeness, I lend you this much money. So he says, You humiliated me in front of everybody at Rialto. You spat on me. You treated me and kicked me as if I was some stray dog standing right at the front of your doorstep. And now you ask me money? What should I say? Since you treated me like a dog and you consider me no less than a dog, should I tell you in reply that does a dog have money? And is it ever possible for a dog to lend you, a human, 3,000 ducats since you treat me like a dog? See, he's being very sarcastic as I already told you. And he says, and he becomes even more sarcastic out here by saying that, or do you expect me, he says, that do you expect me to talk to you in a very low baited voice, bend lowly in front of you and in a very slavish manner as if I was some slave in front of a master? Should I speak in such a tone? And should I say, he's being sarcastic again, I'm telling you. Fair sir, you spat on me on Wednesday. You kicked me on that day and you humiliated me in front of everybody on such and such day. So, and now for all these courtesies, see, he's being sarcastic. He's not directly mentioning, but in a very sarcastic manner, he is referring to all those humiliations as politeness, which was not at all polite, on part of Antonio. So, and you called me a dog, and for all these courtesies, all these politeness, I lend you this much money. Do you expect me to? Shylock is being extremely sarcastic out here towards Antonio, and this also gives us a clear idea that Shylock bears a huge grudge against Antonio, that he wants to seek revenge against Antonio. So now let's move ahead. Then Antonio, I am like to call thee so again. I am just as likely to call you so again. See, if you give me a chance, definitely in future I'm gonna do the same thing as I had done in the past. That is, as I had humiliated you. If you give me a chance, definitely I will not move back. I will not heed back. And not just that, to spit on thee again, I will also spit on you again. And to spurn thee too, I will kick you again. If thou will, and so if thou will lend this money, if you want to lend me this 3,000 ducat, lend it not as to thy friends. Lend it not as if a friend would lend the other friend that money, but for when of why? For when did friendship take a breed? A breed here means profit. So when did ever friendship take any profit from the other friend? Since you are no friend of mine, instead of lending me that 3,000 ducat, don't lend me as a friend would lend the other friend of money, but for barren metal of his friends, but lend it rather to thine enemy, but rather lend it as if you were lending it to an enemy, who if he breaks, and if he breaks, thou mayest with better face exact the penalty. So, and if he fails, you may exact any form of harsh penalty, harsh punishment in return, in case if he fails to return you the money on the as per the given condition. Then see, Shylock, why look you how you storm. How you storm means angry. Storm means angry. Look how angry, how agitated you have become. You have become really angry. I would be friends with you and have your loves. Now see the change. Just a while ago he was pouring out all his anger, and prior to that we also know that he, in his soliloquy, he talked about how much he hated Antonio, and now see out here all of a sudden he's changed, so it's not that he genuinely has changed, but he is becoming, out here we see a very manipulative side of Shylock. So I would be your friends with you and have your love. I want to be your friend, be a friend to you. I want to change myself. I want to change this relationship and I want to be your friend. I want to extend a hand of friendship towards you and have your love, have your faith. Forget the shames that you have stained on me, and I want to forget all the humiliations that you have caused me in the past. Now, do you think Shylock is the kind of person who would ever forget all those humiliations? Never. So he is being very cunning and crafty out here. Supply your present once and take no doit. Take no doit means I will not even take, I will take no profit, not even a small copper coin. So he says that I want to extend a hand of friendship. I want to forget about all those humiliations that I suffered at your hands, and not just that, I will lend you money, that too without, surprisingly, without charging any interest, without even charging a small copper coin of usance for my monies, and you will not hear me. This is kind I offer. So, and you will this is the kind of proposal, this is the kind of proposal as well as the kindness that I offer as a mark of friendship towards you. So Bassanio, he is happy after he hears Shylock. He says, this were kindness, that would indeed be kindness on your part, Shylock. And Shylock says, this kindness will I show. Go with me to a notary. Notary here means lawyer. Seal me there. You know, your single bond, seal me there means give me your, and after having reached the lawyer's office, I want you to give me your individual signature in the bond that we shall together make and sign, and in a merry spot. And in a merry spot here means in a as if it were a joke, as a joke, to talk in a very playful manner. And in a merry sport, if you repay me not on such a day, in such a place, such sum or sums as are expressed in the condition, that is the agreement, the bond, let the forfeit is the penalty, be nominated for an equal here means exact pound of your fair flesh to be cut off and taken in what part of your body pleaseth me. So now here comes his actual real intention, which he is trying to present as if it was some kind of a merry sport. What he says is, he asks Antonio to meet him at the notary, where he wants Antonio to give his individual signature in the bond that the two of them will be signing. And there he says that, you know, it will be mentioned in that deal, in that bond, a condition will be mentioned, where the condition goes like this, that if Antonio fails to return the 3,000 ducats within 3 months at such and such place on such a given time, then as a merry sport, he says, he refers it as a merry sport, he says that, you know, by chance if he fails, if Antonio fails, as a forfeit, as a penalty, Antonio will have to pay a pound of his fair amount of flesh from the nearest of his heart. So this is the condition he lays, and he refers it, he marks it as a very as a joke, as a merry sport, but actually the ulterior motive that lies underneath is that it is not his merry, not that it is not a merry sport that he is trying to play, but it is actually his real intention. So then Antonio, content in faith, I am indeed content, I am satisfied with your condition, I agree, I will fully agree, I'll seal to such a bond and say there is much kindness in the Jew. So then he is ready to sign this bond. Earlier in the scene, we had already talked about the kind of impulsiveness that Antonio had, and here once again we see that impulsive nature of Antonio, where he does not think of what the consequence might he have to face in near future, and the possibility of his ships not returning. So he does not take into account, in fact he does not take into serious account all these practical possibilities that his ships might face, but instead he has full faith and full confidence that he will be able to return the money, and that's why he agrees out here. So then Bassanio says, "You shall not seal to such a bond for me. I'll rather dwell in my necessities." So out here, Bassanio, he shows nervousness about binding his friend, to such a potentially dangerous contract out here put forward by Shylock. So he forbids and requests Antonio from signing the bond. But what happens? Unfortunately, Antonio has something else in mind. "Why, fear not, mean I will not forfeit it. Don't worry, my friend. I will definitely not. I am confident that I will not forfeit it. I will not be penalized within these 2 months." That's a month before. So when does the term of this within, after how many months the loan has to be returned? It has to be returned after 3 months, and 1 month before the end of this term, Antonio is confident that within 2 months his ships will return back to Venice, and that too, this bond expires. I do expect return of 3 times the value of this bond, and definitely I am confident. Antonio says that he is very confident that he will receive 3 times more the amount of this bond in return. So and this is what boosts his confidence, and thus he is ready to sign the bond. And so then see, and Shylock, after hearing Bassanio trying to warn him, he says, Shylock, "Oh, Father Abraham." So here once again very cleverly Shylock appeals to Abraham. What these Christians are, whose own hard dealings means merciless dealings, teaches, means makes them suspect the thoughts of other. So he says, so he appeals Abraham, and here he tries to express surprise at the suspicious nature of Christian, and thus he says, what these Christians are, whose own hard dealings, these Christians, look how suspicious they are. These very people who are in fact very merciless in dealing, they suspect the intention of the others also as being merciless as them. So pray you tell me this, if you should break this day, that is bond, what should I gain by the exaction of the forfeiture? So he out here in a very manipulative manner, and he manipulates it, and he produces it in such a way where any layman or simple person would just definitely believe it. And what he says is, see, pray you tell me this, if he should break, if Antonio, he's talking to Bassanio, he says that, oh my God, if just in case Antonio fails to pay me 3,000 ducat within 3 months of time, what do you think will that pound of flesh fetch me in return? Do you think that it will bring me anything in return? So then, this he is trying to say, this he says so, Shylock says so, because his intention is to make them believe that he actually and genuinely is trying to inculcate this, to introduce this bond just as a merry sport, and he is playing a merry sport. That is what he wants them to believe. Then see, a pound of flesh, man's flesh taken from a man is not estimable. So it is not as valuable, profitable, neither is it profitable. A man's pound of flesh is neither valuable nor is it profitable as flesh of mutton, beefs or goats. These you can sell. The flesh of these animals can be sold and one can earn money. But a human flesh, what will one get by exacting a pound of flesh? I'm just trying to play a game. This is just a merry sport. Why are you being so suspicious? That is exactly what Shylock is trying to say out here. So then I say to buy his favor. I am saying this in order to buy whose favor? Buy Antonio's favor, his trust. I extend this friendship, and that is why I'm trying to extend my hand of friendship towards him, trying to forget everything. If he will take it, so. If not, adieu. If he wants to take it, if he agrees with these terms and conditions, I'm absolutely fine. But if he doesn't, then adieu, farewell. So then see Antonio, yes, Shylock, I will seal on to this bond. Definitely, Shylock, I will seal on to this bond. Then Shylock, then meet me forthwith. Forthwith means soon, at the notary, at the office of the lawyer. Give him direction for this merry bond, and I will go and purse. Give the lawyer direction about all those conditions that have to be included in that bond, and I will go. While I go and purse, that means collect that money, the ducat that you need, and straight from, just hold on, see to my house left in the fearful. Fearful means unsafe guard of an unthrifty. Unthrifty means unreliable knave. And presently, soon, presently here means soon, I will be with you. So I want you to directly go to the office of the lawyer and direct him regarding what are the conditions to be applied in that bond that we shall be signing. And while you do so, I will for a short while proceed towards my home, for I have kept my house under the guard of a very unreliable person, unreliable servant of mine. So before I come out here, I would like to go home and check on my house. Then, and presently and soon I will be with you, and as soon as I am done with it, I will join you. Then Antonio, hie thee, make haste, go quickly, gentle Jew. See, even Antonio has changed after hearing what Shylock had to say. So this means that Shylock succeeded in his manipulative maneuver, in his manipulative crafty plan. So the Hebrew, that is the Jew, will turn a Christian. He grows kind. So what he means out here is Christian. They symbolized kindness. They represent kindness. They were synonymous to kindness. So that is what they believed earlier, and this is exactly what he's trying to say. The Hebrew, the Jew, is turning into a Christian because he is growing kind. Bassanio, I like not fair terms and a villain mind. So Bassanio is very, very skeptic. He says, I do not like this bond, this such kind of terms, because especially when it comes from a mind of a villain like Shylock. So he's very skeptic. And Antonio, come on in this there can be no dismay. There can be no dismay means there can be no fear. There can be no reason to fear. Don't worry. My ships come home a month before the day, and because you needn't worry, because I know my ship will arrive a month ahead of the expiry of the bond. So with this we end Act 1, Scene 3, and this scene prepares us for the mishap that Antonio is about to get into, where he will be dragged down by Shylock, and Shylock will now not leave any stones unturned. So thank you very much, my dear children.